So to start off with some of the basics, why do we have Social Security?
Well, mostly to take care of the aged. It's actually for old age, survivors, and disability. So it covers people with disabilities, covers children and spouses of people who've died, who are workers. But the biggest part of Social Security is people over 65 who are collecting benefits.
And so who qualifies to receive Social Security benefits?
You have to have worked for what they call 40 quarters, which means over your lifetime you have to have paid into the system for 10 years. And then your benefits based on what your earnings were, generally pretty close to when you retire. You can start collecting benefits at 62, but it's a limited benefit. You can collect full benefits. Right now at 65, that age is being raised to 67 for people in my cohort, in my age group.
And when you say benefits, is that just like a monthly payment? Is it healthcare? What kind of qualifies as benefits?
Well, Social Security is just a monthly payment. The average payment is about $1,300, but it ranges from about $900 to close to $3,000 a month, depending on what your previous earnings were. And there's also a separate healthcare program. It's called Medicare, and that's financed by a separate tax. So, and that applies only to people who are 65 and older.
And so how do people pay into Social Security? You said you work and you pay into it. How does that work?
You work, you pay into it. When you get your paycheck, you'll see this little thing that says OASDI, that stands for Old Age Survivors and Disability Insurance. And it's 6.2% of your wage and salary income. Then your employer pays another 6.2%, so the total amount is 12.4%. And that the Social Security tax is only on wage and salary income, so people who get income from rents or interest or dividends, they don't pay into the Social Security system on that income. And the tax is only levied on incomes up to $117,000, and then after you've paid the up to $117,000, you don't pay any more Social Security tax for the rest of the year.
And so why is it only up to that certain number that you pay in?
The reason is that the benefits are based on incomes only up to $117,000. So if the benefits are based on incomes only up to $117,000, and yet somebody earns $500,000, that they're not going to be willing to pay, and they're going to object to the system. And there's been one of the reasons it's financed through a payroll tax rather than just out of the general revenues is precisely to sort of bring in the rich and the sort of business people and the economic elites to keep them from objecting to the system, that they're not financing these benefits through higher taxes, that that people are sort of paying their own way through the Social Security system.
So I'm guessing that 117 was not the cap in the 30s when it started. So does it raise every year?
It raises every year with
Okay.
inflation, yeah.
Okay. It's only based up to $117,000. What's sort of the cap on how much you can receive from Social Security benefits?
I know that the maximum benefit is somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000 a month. It's not a big benefit, and most people don't derive all of their income in retirement from Social Security, although a lot of people depend on Social Security for up to 2/3 or 3/4 of their income. But the benefits are actually low.
Yeah, when it's based on your income, like is the minimum benefit for Social Security based on anything like this would be the equivalent of a minimum wage or anything like that, sort of thinking on that end?
Social Security benefits are what is called progressive, which means that more of the benefit goes to people with lower income. So when you look at like how much you pay in over your lifetime, how much you get back, and sort of what the proportion is, you're better off, the people who get a bigger share back are the people with lower incomes, so the benefits are calculated in a way that really the poor people get a better return than more affluent people.
And is that sort of thinking that people with lower incomes over their lifetime will have less ability to save and put into retirement?
They'll have the greater need for Social Security, yeah. If you retire at 65, you expect to live, say, till 80, you're going to need a few $100,000 to see you through retirement, because you know that has to last for 15, maybe 20 years, maybe even more. And if you only have $50,000 in savings, that's not going to finance a retirement at all. Several years ago, I read a study, I think it was by the Rand Corporation, that found that the average financial wealth, that's outside of home equity, but financial assets, of black households with a member of 50-year-old or greater was $5,000. So we're talking about somebody 10 years from retirement who only has $5,000 put away. And that's the situation that a lot of low-income workers are in. There's no way that they're going to be able to save for retirement. They can barely save to pay for a tire blowout. They can barely keep up with the kinds of incidental expenses that come up, not to mention simply paying their rent. Still a benefit of $1,300 a month is not a good benefit. That's not enough to support people. And if you have no savings, if you have no private pension, then you're trying to live on that entirely, and that's not enough to live on.